Hi, this is Stephen from Omen. Eluktronics launched the MAG 15 last year, winning my Top Gaming Laptop for 2019 award. It offered a great gaming performance in a lightweight magnesium chassis and a mechanical keyboard. The only thing missing was a 17-inch model. Enter the new MAX 17 and its little brother, the MAX 15. It has a membrane keyboard this time, but it continues its electro boost, allowing an RTX 2060 to run at 115 watts and thus perform like a 2070 Max P. Let's see if it is something you should pick up. The immediate differences between the MAG 15 and MAX 15 is the switch to a membrane keyboard, the webcam moved to the bottom, and the Wi-Fi antenna is no longer housed at the side. Now, from an aesthetic viewpoint, this gives a cleaner look as there is no plastic strip at the side like there was on the MAG 15. The webcam position is not ideal, of course, and does cause problems with Windows Hello face recognition. The lateral accuracy is good, it's just the vertical accuracy and may require you to adjust the screen a bit. Here are what the webcams are like. Here's the webcam on the MAX 15, 720p, of course located down. Microphone sounds okay, to be fair, and this is what it's like with the MAX fan. You can hear that. So here's the webcam on the MAX 17. Of course, it can be the same camera as the MAX 15. This time I've got it on my lap. Of course, with a lower placement, you see a huge shot of my torso here. But this is what it's like when you type. The biggest performance difference is the MAG 15 maxed out at 2070 Max Q, but the MAX 15 and MAX 17 can both be equipped up to a 115 watt 2070 Max P. For those looking to save some money, the MAX 15 starts with a 2060 Max P, which is $200 cheaper, and the MAX 17 starts with a GTX 1660 Ti, saving $300, or a 2060, saving $200. Now, prices start at $1,399 for the MAX 15 and the 2060 Max P, and it has with no Windows license key. Now, I think this is fantastic value. The MAX 17 starts at $1,499 with a 1660 Ti. You can choose a pre-configured model also for $1,500 that includes $130 worth of gaming accessories. Both the MAX 15 and 17 have a 6-core i7-9758 CPU, up to 64GB of RAM, up to 8TB of M.2 NVMe storage, and a 1080p 144Hz panel. My MAX 15 has the 2060 Max P and my MAX 17 has the 2070 Max P. Like the MAX 15, the Max series is made of magnesium alloy, making it very light. The Max 17 is actually under £5 and the Max 15 is under £4, which is amazing when you consider the horsepower these laptops have. The Max 17 comes in a black anodized finish, which I actually find very stealth looking. The Max 15 comes in a bluey grey type anodized finish, which still looks great, but my personal preference is for the black look. You also have the option on whether you want a no logo like my Max 17, which does give it a very clean look, or like my Max 15 have a painted logo. I think most people's preference is for no logo, but it is good to have a choice, and this is the type of customization that sets Eluktronics apart from major vendors like Dell. Underneath is also made of magnesium. One good thing about getting inside, there's only one tab near the hinge, so there's no tools needed, you just need a screwdriver. The panel is very stiff and has some good air intakes. The Max 17 comes with a larger 91 Wh battery versus the 62 Wh on the Max 15, giving it 7.5 hours and 5.5 hours of runtime respectively. Both have speakers that fire down at the front sides, and both are very similar, around about 62 decibels, so yeah, not the loudest, and I did prefer the speakers on the MAG 15. If you are wanting to use the laptops for real-time audio, I'm afraid they both failed my latency mon test, the ACPI driver being the cause on both systems. They both use the Intel 9560 Wi-Fi card, and my units have 16GB of RAM running dual channel. And for storage, you do have two M.2 slots, and both the 15-inch and 17-inch have the same size fans with 4 heat pipes. The only difference being the Max 17 has a wider side heatsinks due to the wider chassis. Now, in this thermal image, you'll see the Max 15 on the left and Max 17 on the right. Both have the exact same thermal profile, and you can clearly see where cool air is brought in via the keyboard. So much so that you can actually feel it over the AWSD keys when you play a game. Most of the heat is in the center of the keyboard and also underneath they both get pretty hot at 56 degrees. The fans do a good job of blowing hot air out of each of the 4 heatsinks. And fan noise isn't too bad at all. Max fan does go up an octave, it's just a shame the speakers are on the quiet side, so I recommend using headphones. The software does a good job of letting you control the fan. There's a dedicated option to max out the fan in both gaming and turbo modes, as well as create a custom fan curve. In office mode, you can have really silent fans, so both the Max 15 and Max 17 are ideal for a business setting, especially since the keyboard is now membrane-based versus a clicky mechanical keyboard. The rest of the software is also pretty intuitive and useful, giving quick options to turn both the key lighting and LED light bar on and off, as well as adjust the time it takes to turn off due to inactivity. The colours are also easily adjusted, offering different standardized patterns, brightness and speed options, as well as the ability to save your settings to one of 5 profiles. The keyboard is zoned, so it's not per key, but it still looks nice, and you can have it in all one colour should you wish. Now, both the keyboards are exactly the same size, same layout. There is a separate number pad to the right, which strangely doesn't have an enter key. The keys are square shaped and there isn't much distance between each key, but the keys themselves are quite large. You'll note that the trackpad on the Max 17 is larger than the Max 15. The touchpad can be deactivated by double pressing the top left hand corner. The light bar is different too, shining through a drilled mesh, giving a kind of rainbow effect. And Eluktronics toyed with the idea of having a logo here, but unfortunately there wasn't enough material there to play with and maintain structural integrity. You can alter the color temperature of the display, lock the Windows key and have the USB ports deliver power when the laptop is asleep. It's perfect for charging your phone. There are 3 performance modes. There's Office, Gaming and Turbo. These can be chosen via the software or by pressing a button near the power button. The BIOS actually has an option called Q key that was intended to give the user the option to either have this button change power modes or to manually activate the Max fan rather than using the software. This hasn't been implemented, but to be honest, switching to Max fan doesn't make much difference anyway. All 3 have 100 watts as their short-term and long-term CPU power, but that doesn't mean they will use that much. In CPU tasks such as handbrake encoding, both models peaked at about 90 watts and averaged 84 watts, regardless if the gaming or turbo mode was used. Measuring the time taken to encode a 4GB M2 TS to MP4, both the Max 15 and Max 17 blew the competition away, all taking less than 24 minutes. Even the Mag 15 with an undervolt took 8% longer. Now turbo mode made no difference here, but to put this into perspective, the Omen 15T with an 8-core CPU was only 5% faster. Yeah, so you're getting nearly 8-core performance here for as low as $1,500. As for temperatures, with turbo mode and max fan, the Max 15 averaged 77 degrees and the Max 17 averaged 86 degrees. I throw in some Cinebench scores. Despite this being a much shorter test, they both do quite well, especially the Max 17 that went above 3,100 points. This is seriously good performance. Now my 2 laptops have been repasted with liquid metal, but I did test stock paste at their factory. What I did notice was the Max 17 with liquid metal pulled 68 watts and held a great 3500 MHz clock rate and 90 degrees Celsius, whilst with the stock paste the power was lower at 54 watts, a lower clock rate at 2800 MHz, yet the same temperature of 90 degrees, so that is pretty good going. Both have a nice 144Hz 1080p panel made by LG, and it's quite hard to say which one looks the best. Both have 94 to 96% of sRGB, and the 15-inch panel was slightly less bright and had a lower contrast of 680 to 1. Personally, I think either is fine for content creation and obviously gaming. I could not see any difference in ghosting performance. The thin bezels do help to accentuate the screen nicely. And checking for backlight bleed, both displays were very good. On the left hand side, the only difference is that the Max 15 has a LAN port. Both have a single USB 3.1 Gen 2 Type A and separate audio jacks. On the right side, you have a micro SD card slot and 2 USB 3.1 Gen 1 Type A ports. Now shame there is no full-size SD card slot. It's around the back where all the video ports and the power port are located. The Max 17 also has the LAN port, which I think is a better location. The big differences are the Max 17 has a Thunderbolt 3 versus the USB-C on the Max 15. The latter does have 2 mini display ports, so you can connect to 3 displays. Both systems have an undervolt of 50 mV set in the BIOS. However, the Max 15 was able to change this to 100 mV, whilst the Max 17 had to stick at 50 mV. Now that being said, I saw no change in temperature with the extra undervolt. Unfortunately, probably due to the recent plundervolt patches, you cannot use throttle stop to decrease the voltage offset further, but you can change the power profiles because, let's face it, a PL1 of 100 watts is too high. Something like 45 to 48 watts proved to be perfectly fine. So first off, let's show you the difference between gaming mode and turbo mode or electro boost mode. This pushes the 2060 in the Max 15 to 115 watts, and as you can see here in Battlefield 5 with the Max 15 using the Max fan, the GPU does run hotter, and by nature of the shared heat pipes, the CPU gets hotter too. But you do get a nice boost in frame rate. Here is the same game on the Max 17 using the Max fan, game mode on the left and turbo on the right. Again, we see an increase in temperature, but not so much gain in performance with the 2070 Max P, which is already a 115 watt part. All in all, we see solid performances for both the Max 15 and Max 17. For sure, the 2060 boosts up the most and puts it on an even footing with the 2080 Max Q. I also throw in the result from the Mag 15, which uses the 90 watt 2070 Max Q, and that is right in there with the mix. So now we have the Max 15 on the left using turbo mode, but with auto fan, and on the right the Max 17 using the game mode and with the auto fan whilst playing Far Cry 5. So yeah, boosting up the 2060 does result in higher temperatures, compounded by the CPU using more watts in the process. And unfortunately, using the Max fan doesn't really solve this. So if you are going to use the Electro Boost feature in either laptop, you will need to lower the CPU watts somewhat. Again, performance is class leading. The turbo boosted 2060, making the 2080 Max Q look like chump change. Seriously, why spend hundreds of dollars more for the same performance? The Max 17 again holds a slight edge over the Max 15, but look at the Mag 15 with a 75-degree GPU limit removed. Either way, Eluktronics brings great performance at a fair price. Finally, let's look at Rainbow Six Siege. I used MSI Afterburner to apply an overclock to see if I could squeeze a little bit more performance out of the tank. And on the left, we have the Max 17 using turbo mode and Max fan. And on the right, we have the Max 17 with a CPU set with a PL1 of 48 watts and overclocked. We see a huge reduction in CPU power usage and thus cooler temperatures. The GPU overclock doesn't give us any more frames, but I certainly recommend using either throttle stop or XDU to lower the watts to the CPU if you plan on using Electro Boost. The Max 17 does very well here, nearly as well as the Mag 15, but the turbo boosted 2016 and Max 15 just beats out the more expensive 2080 Max Q, and to be fair, even in game mode it does very well. So how would I sum up the Max 15 and Max 17? Well, they're both excellent laptops. They're great build quality and styling, and it would suit anyone wanting to use a laptop either in a coffee shop or even a business setting. They are really lightweight too, so are very portable with good battery life. Eluktronics is offering laptops that match my 8-core 2080 Max Q Omen 15T that cost me $2,300 with a laptop that costs only $1,700 for the same RAM and storage, and with a 15-inch weighing about £1 less. Now before I go, I would like to give a shout out to a fellow YouTuber called Tag Swag who has some content on the Max 17. I'll leave a link to his channel in the description. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.